Here we are, less than 24 hours since his sentencing last night. Karmelo Anthony was quickly moved to the custody of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice today. That is our state's prison system. And tonight, TDCJ is sharing this. It's a new prison photograph of Anthony after a Collin County jury sentenced him last night to 35 years in prison for the murder of Austin Metcalf. TDCJ says Anthony arrived at a prison near Navasota this afternoon, which is just northwest of Houston. As Anthony now begins paying the price for his conviction, Austin Metcalf's father tonight is talking only with our J.D. Miles about the price that his family is paying.
Because the lie is temporary, but the truth lasts forever.
Jeff Metcalf finally had a chance to read the words he's been writing in a notebook to address his son's killer.
You said, people think that grief is sadness, but it's not, it's rage.
Oh.
Pure, unfiltered rage. You failed yourself, you failed your parents, you failed society. You don't belong in this community.
That's correct.
Metcalf's victim impact statement came at the end of Karmelo Anthony's murder trial. For months, the father of Austin Metcalf has been silenced by a gag order imposed by the judge. Now he's free to speak publicly and says he's also free of something else.
When I woke up this morning, it was a very different feeling. When I woke up, I felt like 1,000,000 pounds had been lifted off my shoulders. Because I used to wake up every morning with this anxiety, with this feeling of dread. And this morning was the first day I woke up with a feeling of peace, comfort, tranquility that I haven't experienced in 14 months. And I felt Austin.
Metcalf was in court every day of Anthony's trial. The 19-year-old now convicted murderer not only took his son Austin's life, he did it right in front of Austin's twin brother, Hunter.
What killed me was the body cam footage when I could hear Hunter screaming, oh God, my brother, my twin. You know, as a parent, you always want to protect your kids. And to hear my son and the fear in his voice, and I'm not there to fix it.
What was it like sitting in that courtroom with Karmelo Anthony for 5 or 6 days?
Challenging is the first word that comes to my mind. And I'll even say this, I had a little bit of sorrow because I'm human. And that poor boy is fixing to experience a life that I would not wish upon anyone.
Metcalf says even today he's received death threats and has previously endured doxing of his personal information and multiple swatting calls to his house from people who he says have tried to villainize Austin and the family.
I would hope they take a look in the mirror. And if you have children, and if it was your child who was murdered, would you like people dragging his name through the mud, making memes, making jokes, and just really vile comments?
Where do you and the Metcalf family go from here?
Well, I mean, this is day one of a long healing process. Because honestly, it's been impossible to start healing until this trial was complete.
The trial may be over, but the racial polarization among Americans on display outside the Collin County Courthouse continues.
Look at the effect, not just the effect here between the Metcalf family and the Anthony family. Look what it did, one, to those kids they have to live with. Two, it took on this huge, wider, let's have a race war throughout the nation.
Metcalf insists that his son had no racist motives when he approached Anthony about leaving a track team tent.
This case was never about race.
There's going to be those people now that just, try to throw shade on the whole trial with the jury makeup and the speed of it and that sort of thing. I mean,
Well, those are the same people that said he was jumped by 4 people, his phone was broken. You're going to spin whatever story to try to keep yourself afloat.
Metcalf believes Anthony should have received a life sentence. He says if Anthony is up for parole in 17 years, he will be there in some form to argue against it.
If I'm still alive, yes, I will be there in person. If not, I am going to make a video, if I'm passed on, that can be played.
There are no walls in Metcalf's home without photos or paintings of Austin and his twin. These images and a scholarship in his son's name are what remain for this father, who says he's ready to finally forgive, but not forget.
But people need to understand about forgiveness. Forgiveness was not for him. Forgiveness was for me, so I don't carry the rage, the hate, and that around. It will eat me up like cancer.
J.D. Miles, CBS News, Texas.
So the words of Austin Metcalf's father, but Karmelo Anthony's family is also talking tonight. They believe the trial was unfair from the start. They do plan to appeal. Our Ken Molestina to continue now our team coverage.
A day after the trial, Karmelo Anthony's parents, Andrew Anthony and Kayla Hayes, sat down to break their silence and to let the world know how they're feeling as their son begins his 35-year sentence for murder. Despite what a jury found, his parents dispute their son ever wanted to kill Austin Metcalf.
My son is no murderer. My son didn't intend to hurt anyone. My son was defending himself. And that's what hurt so bad.
His mother recounts the moment she addressed the jury and made her plea to them during the sentencing phase.
To have mercy on my son. That's what I told the jury. I know they had their minds made up already, so, really wasn't much I could say to change their mind.
Both parents fighting back emotions and tears as they described what they believe was a flawed trial.
We were delusional. We thought we was going to get a fair shake.
They claim there were inconsistencies from the get-go, despite witnesses who took an oath vowing to tell the truth.
Everyone actually lied on the stand.
Everyone.
All of the witnesses' statements were inconsistent. All of them.
His father says the court of public opinion had made up their mind about his son long before the trial began.
He was convicted when he walked out of the jail. If you looked at the news all last year, he was already convicted. If you look at it, it was already done. It was no innocent until proven guilty. He was already guilty.
He says the threats of violence against them continue.
People want us dead. That's what.
After they still got what they wanted.
After they still got what they want, they still want us dead. I can see. You see, I go look at my phone. People want us dead. They want our family dead.
And now they're preparing to appeal.
They did a number on us.
A judicial process they believe wronged them.
We didn't get justice. A lot of things that were missed that should have been handled a certain way. However, we couldn't say anything. We did what was instructed. We was told, so we just did what we was told.
Ken Molestina, CBS News, Texas.
Much has happened since a jury sentenced this man, Karmelo Anthony, last night to 35 years in prison for the murder of Austin Metcalf. We know Anthony spent the night in the Collin County jail, but earlier today he was transferred already into the custody of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. TDCJ has not shared what prison unit he has been moved to for the moment. But with the trial over now, the gag order that was issued by the judge has now obviously been lifted. The lead prosecutor and the Collin County District Attorney both took time today to sit down with our J.D. Miles and talk about this case.
Knife that they say is identical to the one Karmelo Anthony used to kill Austin Metcalf.
The blade itself was about 3.5 inches long. It's not particularly a quality knife, but as you saw and heard and the jury saw and heard, unfortunately it had fatal, lethal consequences.
Collin County First Assistant District Attorney Bill Worski presented the prosecution's case in court against Anthony. He says justice was served with the 35-year prison sentence.
Well, we're just gratified that 12 local citizens saw it our way, J.D. When you boiled it down and got in the courtroom, the facts of this case were very simple. This was never about race. This was really never about self-defense.
Worski also defended a lack of black jurors chosen for a murder trial that involved a black defendant.
We had 12 actual jurors and we had 6 more alternates, and they represented a diverse cross-section of our Collin County community.
In a statement to CBS News Texas, Anthony's attorney offered this about the trial. After the conclusion of the trial yesterday, we gave the court our official notice that Karmelo Anthony is filing an appeal. We believe there are several important issues for the appellate courts to consider. An appeal is the next part of the legal process and a right afforded every American. There were hundreds of people outside the courthouse during the trial and many more on social media who have been trying to influence the outcome of the case for more than a year. Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis says his office had to overcome efforts by influencers to create fabricated evidence that involved manipulated videos and photos.
And so the jury got to see, what was noise and what that person actually saw or heard that day at the track meet. And so as long as we can still do that, then I'm not concerned about any technological advances or AI or whatever.
In McKinney, J.D. Miles, CBS News, Texas.
As J.D. mentioned there, Karmelo Anthony's legal team has already filed notice to the court that they do plan to appeal with the Fifth Circuit Court in Dallas. And that is a fairly standard next step, of course, after a conviction. The question now, though, does Anthony have the grounds to try to overturn the verdict? Amelia Magavro spoke with a notable appellate attorney who says the strongest arguments may actually have very little to do with what the jury heard and more to do with whether the trial itself was handled properly.
What were your first impressions looking at everything that transpired with this trial?
The jury reached a verdict here fairly quickly. Given what it was asked to do, that's not particularly surprising with that focus on what exactly happened.
Dallas attorney David Cole has handled appeals for decades. He says he was not surprised with how the murder trial of Karmelo Anthony played out, even after jurors were given the chance to reduce Anthony's punishment if they found he acted under sudden passion.
It's a solid sentence. If they've come to that conclusion, they're going to award a pretty substantial sentence.
This sudden passion argument was kind of added towards the end of this trial. Why wasn't it there at the beginning, and why is it added now?
Because we've determined now that it was murder, it was not self-defense, but in the sentencing context, the sudden passion thing is a sentencing idea. If that happened, well, maybe you get a break on your sentence.
So we now have a sentence. Is there grounds for an appeal as we look forward to the next steps in this case for Karmelo?
The first is, are we in the right county? Should we be in Collin County? I mean, the law says you should be, but I mean, is there a problem with publicity or we just can't be there? Then we go to the race issue, because that's before we even start the trial, we got to have a jury. And so did we do that right? And then once we got the trial going and heard all the evidence, did we tell the jury what to do correctly?
Cole says one of the biggest issues likely to come up on appeal is how the jury was selected. The defense argued black jurors were improperly removed from the panel, a potential violation of what's known as the Batson Law.
The argument is it's not so much that the jury pool is all white. The problem is when the jurors were struck, because both sides have the right to take people off that they don't like. The Anthony argument is that the prosecution used it to get rid of the black jurors. If
this goes to an appeal court, what is the likelihood and the probability that this case gets thrown out?
A lot of it will depend in the advocacy and how the court reacts to it. Is the issue in front of the Court of Appeals a question of fact, a question of law? A question of fact is what happened. If the Court of Appeals sees it as questions of law, the chance of success goes way up.
Amelia Magavro, CBS News, Texas.
Both the Anthony and the Metcalf families have said that they are still receiving, to this day, threats of violence and even doxing of their personal information. And that's due in part to massive amounts of misinformation that began spreading online not long after the death of Metcalf. Our Aaron Jones spoke to a member of the CBS News Confirmed team this week, whose job it is to find the truth in this age of AI and of easily manipulated social media.
Karmelo Anthony crying in court, photos of a jury, and even this image that's been circulating online for more than a year, All of it is AI generated, but CBS News confirmed verification producer Layla Ferris says from what she's seen, some social media users don't realize this.
We found that there's a real problem with labeling images on social media as AI generated. It's really important to look at the source of the image. See, do they have a history of posting AI generated images?
For this case,
doing a quick look at, were there any cameras in the courtroom or were there any photos of Karmelo Anthony after the verdict?
You can also look for visual inconsistencies or do a reverse image search. Be wary of emotionally charged content. Ferris admits some of the images can be convincing, which is why she recommends spending the extra time trying to verify them. In Dallas, Aaron Jones, CBS News, Texas.
And now, since the murder trial has ended, some community advocates say that the conversation should not stop with this verdict. As our Aaron Jones reports tonight, one organization is urging people to look way beyond the headlines and to focus on what they believe are the deeper issues exposed by this very case.
The fatal stabbing of Austin Metcalf and conviction of Karmelo Anthony sparked intense reactions.
People are getting riled up, on social media, and people I knew were basically telling me that I need to really look at and be on the right side.
Dr. Bruce Carter with the National Opportunity League spends a lot of time focusing on youth mentorship and violence prevention. He says both families suffered devastating losses.
These momentary choices has ruined both families, and that's what I think we should be talking about. How do we prevent young people from making choices in a split second that can affect the rest of their life or their freedom?
Carter says the tragedy highlights a need for more conversations about conflict resolution and de-escalation.
Disappointing piece is the adults. The behavior that I've seen online, outside the courtroom from grown folks, it doesn't help kids. It's the people who are trying to get likes, shares, and follows that we've made our heroes. And these people will lie, manipulate, they'll make up stories so they can keep you engaged.
Says there must be a better example, and everyone has a role to play.
If two people have conflict, one's gonna say, this ain't worth my life, this not worth my freedom. And if that becomes the norm, then there's always somebody who's willing to walk away. The person walking away, to me, you're the bigger, better hero in my mind than the person that stays there and you end up with this.
Carter says he's seen firsthand the impact this can have on young people and believes this mindset could help prevent future tragedies. In Dallas, Aaron Jones, CBS News, Texas.
Last month, we introduced you to a North Texas girl whose transplant journey captured hearts all across this country. Tonight, as our Aaron Jones shares with us, this 9-year-old is now sharing an emotional meeting with the very family of the donor who saved her life.
Delta Dawn, what's that flower you laid on?
Penny Martin is constantly inspiring others, whether it's through her music or her remarkable journey. The 9-year-old was born with complex heart defects and spent months waiting for a life-saving heart transplant. Now, there's a new chapter in her story.
I was nervous, but then I was like, I was dead and I saw him, and then I knew we were gonna be.
We're gonna be good friends.
Yeah.
She recently met the father of the donor whose heart now beats inside her.
Emma was a great girl. She loved to draw, she played music.
Like so many teens, Ryan Ainsworth says his daughter struggled with her mental health. And last year, she took her own life at just 15 years old.
Well, she came to me and we sat at my shop and we talked that night, and she got up that night off the tailgate of the pickup we were sitting on and gave me a big hug.
Ryan never imagined that would be their last conversation. There have been a lot of dark days, but because Emma chose to be an organ donor, a part of her lives through multiple recipients, including Penny.
The day of our transplant and donation, I had one of my mother's friends lives in Weatherford and saw Penny on Facebook that had her sign up that said, today is the day I get my new heart.
Ryan couldn't believe it. This week, he's in town for a work trip and didn't want to miss the opportunity to finally meet Penny and hear her heartbeat.
It was awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it was pretty tough. So, but it was great. We walked out and there was some pink skies up there, and that was one of the songs we played at her funeral. And so, you know, I was like, holy cow, there's things all over this that Emma's just saying.
But it feels like we're already family, you know? Penny and him are already two peas in a pod, and so she's met her match with that one. So they just really hit it off.
Their video has now touched millions of people online, and they hope the attention helps save even more lives. Ryan is raising money to place benches at schools with QR codes linking students to suicide prevention resources.
Yeah, this isn't about us. This is about sharing with other people.
Together, they want to turn heartbreak into hope. In Dallas, Aaron Jones, CBS News, Texas.